Okay, we are officially live. I want to welcome everybody to this week's edition of Talk About It Tuesday. And tonight, similar to last week, we're not going to have a national staffer per se on the program. But what we did do is we went to one of the main designers right from the track brand. Tonight, I'm glad to have Rich Hanson joining us to talk about the track proof hybrid. So, Rich, glad to have you on. How we doing tonight?
Real good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Kind of came to fruition getting you on the program here pretty late. I was doing a little traveling on the weekend and didn't get my guests lined up as early as normal. But Rich stepped right up, answered our message here, and was more than happy to come on here and talk about another new and exciting release from the track brand. So, Rich, let's talk a little about this third bowling ball in the proof line. So,
hmm
why don't you tell me a little bit about, if you don't have the numbers off the top of your head, I do, but I'm pretty sure you're going to spit them right out.
Yeah, I mean the numbers are important, but it's a total package.
Yep.
It's a big asymmetric ball. We haven't had a ball with this high of asymmetry since we put, as people call it, license plate numbers on the bowling balls back to the 920s and 930s. We've been sticking in the 15, 16 range on our high performance balls, and a ball like a Paradox was, a ball that was in the 16 range and was a super popular ball for us, and really put the brand back in to bowlers' eyes. Highly successful line. But coming over here since acquisition, we put out a ball that with this proof that has a great core in it. A upgrade from the prime cover stock that was on some of the balls at EBI with the prime response, just to give a little bit more bite in the oil.
Okay.
And it's been a great line. The proof happened right before the pandemic. I'm a little track biased, but I think it's probably one of the best balls we had in our entire product line over here.
Mhm.
And we followed that up. It kind of got looked over just because of the pandemic. Sold good. A lot of the staffers love that ball. We followed up with a proof pearl, but there's a pretty good gap there in motion. Your proofs, your fresh lane ball, your something you start off with, kind of a benchmark asymmetric was, gives you the read of the lane. Then we followed that proof pearl up, but this one it helps fill that gap, bridge that gap between um, the two, and it to me it'll quickly become that ball you throw first as well. We didn't want to get rid of the proof, but we needed something to help fill that void and have
Mhm.
something fresh there, and it does it well. It's super strong. Kind of takes the best of both worlds, gives us the mid lane read, has that extra pop down lane, so it's a nice complement to the two.
Definitely, and it has the kind of unique surface prep with skipping some stages in there. It has that 500 underneath for the teeth, and then goes right up to step up to
The
3000.
3000, yeah, yeah.
And comparing it to the original, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, the proof, I probably drilled that. Gosh, it maybe 3 weeks before the pandemic really hit, and I had it
Mhm.
fairly early. Super excited for a bowling ball. Again, solid dark colored bowling ball always catches my eye. It's going to be one
Right.
I drill a ton of. And like you said, it was kind of unfortunate. Kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit with centers being down and stuff. And going into the Proof Pearl, vastly different. Proof Pearl, definitely a lot cleaner through the middle of the lane. Maybe a little quicker response to friction if I compare it to the hybrid. But I've put some holes in this hybrid, and I've been extremely impressed with this. And matching kind of what you're saying was, it kind of reminds me of that first ball out of the bag if I'm going to be on like the asymmetric side,
Mhm.
because it is, ultra controllable. Sometimes I think we hear hybrid and we're, thinking, okay, well, this is going to be right before I get into my pearls and maybe I won't get onto this right away. But, with that surface prep on that ball is very controllable motion, but great energy retention when it's actually going through the pins.
Right.
So this thing has seen, for me personally, has seen a lot of play early on, whether it's in league play, and it's definitely come out in a few different patterns for me in the over the course of the last few weeks here, where anything from a lower ratio pattern, when we're creating a little hold with angle and the ball's still not quitting, or something that was a little softer, a little more cliffed, where the bowling ball still wasn't giving up. It didn't see friction and immediately seemed like too big of a ball, even with all that asymmetry, and stop and not exit the pin deck correctly. So pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, and what's unique about it is the fact that it's such a high asymmetry ball, but it really doesn't roll like one. It
Mm-mm.
rolls like it's more of a 10 to 12 intermediate diff. It doesn't stand up as quickly as you would think as a 20, but it keeps that motion through the back of the lane. Doesn't go forward like you see a lot of balls with high asymmetry. They see that friction, they stand up, and you get to a certain angle in the lane, and you just got to put it up. This ball is different with that, and it's really matching up the core and the cover and the finish prep, like you say, the 5 and the skipping to 3. We're getting that under grit with the 500 grit, but this
Mm-hmm.
3 on top just allows it to get through the front. But say with that extra surface texture underneath that final finish, it has that ability to handle a decent volume of oil.
Yeah, and like you said, so basically when you're talking about the covers, the cover stock of that bowling ball with the prime, basically the prime base, I think the prime base was in a few of the different Paradox releases, correct?
Yeah, you catch me a little off guard there on that one, but yeah,
I'm
it's
pretty sure.
yeah, we had it the last like 2 releases through EBI. I believe, I mean, it's easy to pull it up. I want to believe it's on the Paradox Red. Don't hold me to that.
I think it's on.
Um,
I think it is definitely on the red, and a pearl version might be on the 4.
yeah,
Paradox V, or however you want to call it. Everybody called it
yeah,
something different.
yeah. But they did it. It's a Paradox 4, and everybody goes Paradox V. And
Yeah,
well,
B. No,
Paradox
it's 4.
5. Yeah,
Yeah, I think there was
there's several
a pearl version
paradoxes.
of that. But if you were, kind of where I'm going with that is like, the individuals out there, obviously, especially the Paradox Black was huge for the brand.
Yeah,
That bowling ball was on a ton of racks, whether it was in league play, definitely on tour. For me, seeing it a lot more on, being out with the women's tour for so many years. The girls out there were throwing it every week. They threw it on
oh, the
everything,
blue. Start
and
with the blue. The blue was the first one, and they, man,
yeah.
that thing. I think it won 3 women's stops that summer, that first
Mhm.
summer, and
Yep.
made several other shows. I know a lot of several girls won their first show with that, or first title. But that started that, and see the black was exact. We don't do that often.
Hmm.
That you make the exact same. Only thing different was the color.
Yeah.
It was the exact same cover, exact same core, everything the same, finish prep the same. Because that ball left the brand, the blue, because eventually sales get to a certain spot where it doesn't sustain the catalog spot. You move on to newer stuff. But that ball, bringing it back, definitely gave all the bowlers. I know Tommy and Billy and those guys love that ball on tour. I know Dom did. They don't go anywhere without one of those paradoxes in their bag, and it's definitely. I'm sure it's a ball that's missed in our product line right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, those years when I can tell you when that Paradox Blue was prevalent, was before my days with Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
I was with Brunswick,
Right.
and I was out on tour on the girls' tour, and I can tell you when we were looking over the girls winning all the time, we were getting our teeth kicked in with a blue Paradox, and we didn't have
Right.
anything close to it at the time.
Right.
So, full circle around. Now here it is. We have these shapes in our bag. We have one of, in my opinion, one of the best staffs around, after the merger, because we just have so many options that are out there that can kind of, attack any one of these patterns. And, it's exciting stuff. Yep. You still got me there? I thought I might have caught you
Yeah.
on the feed
No, you're
there.
there.
Okay.
You're good.
So, one of those things. So if you were a big fan out there, and the individuals that are following along, and if you were a fan of anything in the Paradox line, obviously you're going to want to take a look at this. If you were one of the ones that were fortunate enough to use the original proof or the proof pearl, definitely one that I think you're going to put into your bag pretty quickly. I probably, Rich, have I'd say about 10, 12 games on mine at this point. And
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the other things, that individuals ask out there, we talked about that surface prep being 500, 3,000. And when you look at it out of the box, the bowling ball, even with that prep, looks pretty dull.
Yeah, it looks
Um,
chunky.
and it doesn't, but when you roll it down the lane, you're going to quickly understand that bowling ball doesn't ever feel like it wants to be early.
No.
And after 10 or 12 games, one of the things that makes me kind of really appreciate the ball is that the thing doesn't seem to want to lane shine real quickly either.
No. Yeah.
And we do see that sometimes with surface preps, you'll see balls that are really really good out of the box for you, and then they might lane shine a little quicker. Um, is that, in your opinion? I know you said something about releases. Do you think that has something to do with color when we're seeing lane shine, things like that? Do you see colors that do it quicker?
Colors and finish prep. It's in covers. Certain covers just
Mm,
don't absorb oil as fast, so the oil will sit on the shell a little longer and it'll smooth out. Um, there's so many things that cause what we call lane shine. There's
mhm.
if you don't realize that your ball rolls through the pins and it gets on a ball wheel and it spins it and shoots it up and that catches it. Then it comes through the ball return and that wheel catches it. So those things are all changing the surface of your bowling ball.
Yep.
I know when we stair step things more like 5-1-2, you're going to see that lane shine a little faster than a 5-2, and we're doing that finish prep to fit in the product line and to
Mhm.
create the motion we're looking for. It doesn't mean you have to keep it at that. I mean, change it to what you feel like you need it to be. But like this proof hybrid, that finish is designed to allow that ball to fit in between, give you the benefits of the proof and some of the benefits of the proof pearl without having to have it shine. Um, but like if this ball, and like you say, it doesn't lane shine as quickly, and that's exactly because that 500 grits underneath there, it's still so much teeth underneath that it doesn't allow it to do. It doesn't smooth the surface up as much. But like I say, any ball, if you're seeing a ball that's lane shining up, put a little more step in between the finishes.
Mhm.
Skip a step or two, and you're not going to see it do it as fast. Like I say, we do it to fit the product line,
Right.
and we have several balls in our product line. We between um, different price points, and it's trying to get it to fit in there. But that's it. That's really a great benefit of that stair step is or skipping steps is that it doesn't lane shine as fast.
And the entire reason I asked you that, Rich, and just so somebody else, could hear it right from, one of the designers and the guys that are, in the front lines of ball development here is that, when I'm working, as a product rep or I'm out on tour and I'm working with individuals, I will do that a lot with bowling balls. When we're surface wrecking, getting ready for a block, because we're trying to essentially, allow that ball to be as fresh as possible for as long as possible,
Right.
especially if you're bowling a 7 or 8 game block, instead of reaching into the bag and always looking for fresh surface. Now, I mean, if you're bowling something like, trials or international, rules where you can hit a ball between games, it's a little different, but,
Mm-hmm.
um, use that to your advantage. If you're an individual who is, league bowler and likes a particular shape and you're trying to maintain your bowling balls longer, don't be afraid to do that. Again, they're recommended stages for preparation to fit in the line, but work with your pro shop operator in your area to help put an extra set of eyes on you to understand what may be the best for you, because we're
Right.
all different. We're all so
Right.
vastly different. And Rich, we talk a lot on this program as well. A lot of times we'll get a bowling ball that comes off the shelf and it's super shiny, and I'll crack the ball before I even throw it down the lane, just
Yeah.
because aesthetics and things like that. But there may be another individual who needs the extra projection and a little more retention and wants to see that quicker response to friction, and they leave it alone. That's why
Mm-hmm.
we tell individuals all the time, let's go down there, let's throw it down the lane, because we get one shot at it now. Back in the day, you for yourself as a pro shop guy for a number of years before getting into kind of training with Powerhouse and taking over as brand manager and stuff down there. We used to be able to use holes, right? So,
Right.
if we had a ball that was close, uh, I might have brought it back in the shop and say, man, I just wish it was a tick earlier. Now we could do it with a pad, but back then we could add a hole to the bowling ball and
Yeah, you just
change
got
it
one
pretty
less option.
quickly.
Yeah.
Right. You had more options, but now, we got to get it right. We got to make the right selections for individuals from the get go. So I think, as a pro shop operator now, it may seem like there's less involved because of not utilizing holes, but really, I think it's actually the opposite. I think we really need to spend even more time, with the designers and understanding these bowling balls that we, get the right piece of equipment in a person's hand the first time around.
Sure. Yeah. More research to pick the right ball.
Yeah.
Um, just because you see your buddy bowling with it and bowling well doesn't mean it's the right ball for you. Um, so that's one I always remember guys come in the shop and yeah, I want this ball. Okay, great. Why do you like it? Well, my buddy Joe has it, and well, how's Joe throw it? Well,
Yeah.
Joe's got a 500 rev rate and hooks the entire lane. Well, it's not gonna roll like it does for Joe, like it does for you. You have
It
a
won't.
280 rev rate. You should get this ball. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
That's
a
good.
hard one to battle with. At the end of the day, the customers give what the customer wants. So you try to guide them the best you can and give them the best selection as possible. But if they have their heart set on a certain ball,
Yeah. And if they do, it's okay.
yeah,
We can give our 2 cents in there and, you know, at the end of the day, you're the consumer. We're going to give you what you want, but take it for what it's worth. A lot of these pro shop guys out here, we want to help you. We want to make sure we don't just want to drill bowling balls for you. We want the
Right.
best bowling ball because we want to see a score. Right.
Yep.
We want to see those scores on the lane, because you know what, a lot of times, even for myself, I don't get the, bowl as much as I'd like to anymore. But we get more pride sometimes seeing the individual's success that is not us on the lanes, because you know I can tell you from all the years on tour, and being on Shannon's bag, winning some titles and stuff. You feel like you're bowling anyway.
Yeah.
You feel every emotion that they're feeling, and we want to see everyone succeed. That's why what we do. We kind of chatted a little bit before we got on here, Rich, and kind of asked a little bit of background. I knew some of it, but pretty much been in bowling, and coming from where I'm at in a pro shop, and here you are designing bowling balls, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's been bowling since I was a kid and got early in the pro shop in college, and I can't imagine doing anything else, or wouldn't want to do anything else.
Yeah, it's surreal. And right now, it's tough for all of us out there, and I think bowling's going to bounce back, and um, keep pressing forward and doing what we can do.
Right.
Want to make sure I'm not missing any comments here. There's some that are pulling through here, so I'll make sure I don't miss anything here as we're kind of chatting here. What's Kevin saying here? Kevin, looking forward to getting mine next week. Thanks, Rich Hanson, for all the information, what you do for all of us. It's a name we recognize there.
Oh yeah, the Northwest.
Yeah, I feel for them the worst. I mean, they've been down probably longer than any of us, so I don't know if Kevin is able to bowl yet or not, but hopefully if you're as far west as California, they start seeing a light at the end of the tunnel here. All right, James Graham, what you got here? Purcell was a good seller in my shop. Sad to see it axe, but I understand why. I think Rich, kind of hit on that a little bit. It's that was released back in basically February, March timeframe, I think, and
Yep.
with stuff shutting down, it kind of got in the wayside, and then the other unique thing about that is, and I'm sure Rich, this was hard on you guys, with the merger and everything that went on. You went from having a full line of bowling balls to having to quickly try to get a complete line of bowling balls to market in a short amount of time, because the inventory did not come along with the acquisition. So,
Right.
that was kind of a unique situation, trying to roll products out to market, and then bang, you get hit right in the middle of that fast pace, let's get some, good equipment out there, not suffer quality, things along those lines. And then here we are now trying to round out the rest of the brand, and it's challenging.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we did a pretty good job of getting the first few launches were really, really good for track. We still got holes. I mean, it's I mean, I'd love to have a Paradox in the line right now. I'd love to have a Heat. It takes time. You got to launch balls, and with what's going on in the world, you put out a great bowling ball, and it can just get lost really quick in the mix, and center shutting down, and I mean, the proof solid is still in the line. Yeah, thanks, James. Yeah, they open up in Nashville this next year. As soon as I leave and go north, they open one in Nashville. Anybody knows I might be the biggest Whataburger fan in the world, so people like to give me a hard time when they get to have some.
So you're the Whataburger versus I guess Nick being the In-N-Out guy. So
yeah, he's delusional.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're slowly filling out the product line, and we're gonna get some of those key pieces, those mainstays that have been the track brand forever. We had just launched the Triton Elite, and we kind of followed that up here with the same core shape. But
the Latitudes.
The Latitudes, yeah, Latitudes. I mean, that's another great ball that it got missed.
Yep.
Latitude Pearl, that's my favorite shiny ball right now, polished pearl. It reads the mids really aggressively for such a shiny ball, and it makes that shape off the spot like you expect out of that core, that Triton Elite core. But I say we're gonna work on it. We're gonna get the those mainstays that have been the brands that people that go-tos. That track fans could always know that we're going to roll great. A Heat, a Triton Elite, any of those balls. Kinetics. I mean, my gosh, Kinetics have been, Kinetic Obsidian was one we had just come out with. That ball was phenomenal. It's just, we had to start from scratch, and we're getting there. I mean, we're gonna don't want to give out any secrets. I mean, we're always 6 months in advance, so we know what's going to happen coming out.
Right.
It's just timing those launches right. So, not knowing what's going on in the world and what bowling centers are open, it's really risky launching balls right now at the right or wrong times.
All right. Next, especially, you go to start producing them, and then, we've been up and down 2-3 different times here in Pennsylvania, and everybody across the nation's, there's just no symmetry to when it happens. It's kind of when you have the outbreaks and stuff. But I just popped this up. Tom, thanks for joining the program here. Obviously, I think I did see Doherty through 300 the very first game out of the box with us.
So hybrid, yeah.
Probably where that favorite comment is coming there. But, definitely a pretty special one. And, going back, within the track brand, and this is probably going back about 2 months, Sanders was on, and we spent some time talking about the tempo too, which again, that's, really, really good ball. And I think actually now I will say in my area, guys are really catching on to just how good that ball is for, a low diff ball, super clean, kind of fills a spot in the bag. Definitely one you don't want to sleep on there. I mean, that ball is pretty special. And, Matt being not your typical left-hander, he likes to curve it a little bit. So I know he gets a lot of use out of that one in his bag. Michael Joseph, let's try to answer your question here a little bit. Michael, for those of us that are beginners but not quite advanced bowlers and can only have 1 or 2 bowling balls short of a spare ball, what do you recommend? Rich, you can take this or I can take it. It doesn't matter either way.
I mean, I'll jump all over it. I love talking about bowling balls, obviously. It depends on your game and what kind of lane condition you bowl on. If you're a person that's a little more rev challenged and you need some help, you want to get a benchmark asymmetric as your first ball to your bag, a proof solid, a proof hybrid. Then something to complement those would be like a Latitude Pearl would be a great ball to go down to, because it's going to give you something for the fresh, and then when the lanes break down, something to go down to, and you can have 5-6 boards of difference in hook potential and cover it. If you're a high rev guy and the lanes are a little beat up, you don't have as much oil, you might start with something like a regular Latitude, something that's symmetric, still has some teeth, but it's not super dull. And then you go down to something like a tempo. So that way, if you only have 2 balls, you want to put at least 5 or 6 boards difference of hook potential. Because you can adjust your hand, your speed a little bit to make up for those few boards, you move on the lane. But if you don't have at least 5 or 6 boards in between and the balls, and you're only down to 2 or 3, there's no point having them. The pros have 6 balls and have them all be a board and a half apart because they're trying to change shapes of the pins. Because if you're not striking, you're not making it. So they got to have that right ball in their hands at all times. But carrying 2 balls, I mean, either of those combinations, a proof hybrid and a Latitude Pearl, or a Latitude and a tempo, something like that. And don't forget the Strata is an excellent ball.
Tommy Graham just popped on here. I mean, I think he kind of likes it.
$8.99. I bowled with Tommy a few times back home. I didn't know he was that good.
He claims he's not at all. So he tends to be able to strike a little bit. So he's got that part down pat. I mean, he didn't shoot many spares in that match, but so we don't know about his spare shooting.
He put that one miss in the right spot, so he didn't have to shoot at it.
But going, what you said to Michael there to answer his question too, and I think another thing to look at that, Michael, just kind of explain even more, like, when Rich is saying about making sure you have enough separation, if you have a 2-ball arsenal and you come into the pro shop, whether it's here or somewhere else, we're probably not going to drill you let's say a proof and then a proof hybrid only, right? Because even though they're different balls, in the surface, you still have the same core, same numbers that are on there. What we're looking for that type of player with less in the bag is that we have more, way more disparity between the difference in the shapes. So we're not going to drill you. You shouldn't be going in there drilling 2 of our top end bowling balls, and I'm not taking back from that. But you want to have more in your bag. That way you have something to step down to, because generally you're going to start with a bigger one. You're going to go into the lower one, and the first one you're going to put in your bag there, though, is that spare ball you were talking about, because that is the most important one in your bag. That's the money maker at pretty much any level. But Marquise Simmons, what do we got here? Trying not to miss anything. Never had a track ball. May have to see if one will fit my game. Marquise, hope you're doing well, my friend. Obviously, I know Marquise here. He's been up to the shop a couple times. He likes to get around it a little bit. Marquise, definitely. I got a few that you may want to look into. I'll send you some suggestions on that. But hope you're doing well there with the family. Oh, Tommy Graham. He wants to know how this compares to the Strata. So there, he wants to know. So I think Tommy's looking for one more strike.
Yeah.
So help him out with that one, Rich.
Yeah, I think I saw the pictures of Tommy's. It was shined up, but if you threw them out of the box, I mean, the Strata is just so much more mid lane, and it's going to pick up the lane so much sooner than this Proof Hybrid. Proof Hybrid is going to be just slightly cleaner, and it's mainly strength of cover stock. We went back to our QR series in that Strata, very aggressive cover. That was the series that was on the Paradoxes. Original Paradoxes was a QR series, and this is our most aggressive of the QRs for quick response. So this ball is going to see it the fastest of any ball we have on our product line. So just get more length. Still same aggressive move down lanes, just 2-3 feet cleaner to the front. And it's a good step down. Like if you had multiple balls in your arsenal, you had a Strata and you had a Proof Hybrid, well, that would be a good step down for that transition ball or something to change into once the Strata is too much.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously it's not too much because it struck all but one shot. So,
and I believe it's a ring 10 too. So that's as close as you can get. I mean, it's.
I want to know. I want to know what was the average of choice at night and how many.
You got to answer that one, Tommy. He's answering your
Yeah.
question, so you got to answer that portion of it. Looks like my other half's jumping in here. So this is the better bowler in our family, but she kind of asking, how you like in the new position working with the Brands of Brunswick.
I love it. At Ebonite, I wore a lot of hats. I was a Powerhouse brand manager one time, and then a track and Powerhouse brand manager, and then I was the product manager for just the bowling balls when we went to more of a team brand management thing with Bugsy worked with us back then, and several other people. But the last 3 years, I was doing international sales and product management. So I don't have to do the international sales role anymore, and I can just do product management. So that's a lot. I mean, I love the international sales. I love travel, and I love selling product and dealing with consumers and travel around the world. But be able to focus on the product alone. I mean, we got 7 brands to work with. We got a great team. We have several people. We have a lot more resources, and rightfully so with as much product as we have to work on through the year. But we've got a really great team, and we got really smart guys with Ray and Titloff. I get to work with Billy. Billy's been doing this for a lot of years too, and Tim. I mean, I name Jeremy. We can go on, and Aaron and Brian and all that stuff with core design. But it's a lot of people to work on, and it's great because you get a lot of different eyes, perspectives. With a lot of people to help work on it.
Yeah, and I think the unique thing is you have two, what used to be independent companies that had their own philosophies on how they did things, and now you kind of got all those really great minds within those companies in one room, and now they're sharing their best practices, and I think there's a lot of those aha moments from one side to the other, or
Sure.
when they mesh all that information together and all that knowledge. They're gonna, we're coming out with some cutting edge stuff, and I think having that is looking at the long term. We're in a really good position to see some amazing equipment coming, into our hands as consumers and pro shops and staffers, and I'm excited for it. For all of us that were, with Hammer and the announcement was made, and Rich, probably even more so for you working, and kind of that uncertainty. Obviously this has to feel pretty good where, now we're in a home, we're under maybe a big umbrella, but man, it really is truly like a family to me. And, I couldn't be more excited to be in the position where, we get to come on here and talk about bowling and talk about technology, and all these individuals that work for the company are just here to help each other. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we had a good team at EBI, and Brunswick had a good team. Both very successful companies, and they didn't buy us for no reason. We had a lot of good stuff going on, and some great brands, but like you said, now to combine those great minds, you put Ray and Randy in a room, and some of the cover stocks we've been working on the last 3 months. Unfortunately, you're always 6 months, 9 months, a year ahead on development. I just can't wait for guys to see. I mean, I'm excited about these balls, but then I'm really excited about the stuff 6 months from now that consumers get to try out and see, and the advancements from the technologies. We've used some of the technologies from Devanite, we've used the technologies from Brunswick, but now you take those minds and you come up with new stuff. It's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Marquise, next one. I tend to steer towards the higher RG, low diff equipment. What ball in the track line would fit this?
As tempo right now. I mean, it depends on what you consider high RG. I say, because there's not a lot of useful bowling balls. You can make balls as high as 2.8 in RG, but they're just not useful.
Right.
They don't hook.
They hook in the ball return.
Yeah, we make plastic balls in the 2.7 range. So I always think anything under 2.50 is low. 2.50 to 2.534 is medium, and then above 2.55 is high. And there's still very few balls that roll great at that high RG. But the tempo is our highest at this point. So I would think that would be the and it's definitely the low diff ball. It'll fill what you're asking for. 2.5. That's 2.56. I just put my foot in my mouth. I had to pull it up on the side here. 2.56038. So you're definitely going to fit the bill. The ball's clean. And even though it's that clean, that high RG, it doesn't ever want to shoot through it. Ball that we had in our product line before was a Tundra line, and that was a great dry lane ball. This tempo is just a little bit more of a roll, and picks up the mids a little more, but still very clean. And that's the choice for the high RG low diff.
Not to mention, it reminds me of the track synergy. Like when I looked at the colors when it first came out, I was like, this is my youth. This is like my youth right here. I have to have this bowling ball in my bag, just for the colors alone. So it was an eye opener there. It's a pretty ball.
Yeah, great color.
Yeah, a couple other ones in here. How do you compare the track obsidian? Compared to the proof? Well, Chris, it's quite different. I'll let Rich kind of take this one, but that track obsidian was a very, very low intermediate diff ball.
Yeah, it's 5. So you could classify as a symmetrical ball, but it's got a starting point of 5. So when you put a thumb hole in a symmetrical ball, you're going to get to about 10, 11. And that's where you're going to max out at. So if you start at 5, we're going to get to about 15. So it's still stronger off the spot than a standard symmetrical ball. But I love the kinetic line. It's one of my favorites. It's always been clean, sharp off the spot, but super continuous. And that's what the obsidian was. So the proof is just a stronger version of that. It's still very clean, still strong off the spot, but not jerky, stoppy. It's that round continuous. So, it's a ball that's probably 4 boards stronger overall, 3 boards stronger overall than a obsidian. Shape it's in the same class of shape, just more of it.
Good question there, Chris. Yeah, there. Tommy answered. He had 8 Michelob Ultras. Was that which game? Is that if it's anything
before league or during?
See, we have a classification. We bowl league on a PA here. I bowl with my other half, Carrie, a couple other close friends, and we I was never one that loved league. I'll be the first to admit it until I started bowling with these guys and kind of got out of the area. And we get there early, and we refer to them as swing looseners because you get a bucket of beers before you start at least, and then a few more after that, and it feels like you're throwing a beach ball at the ocean by the end. So loosens it up. So I was joking around. I'm actually I'm entered in the Players Championship in Richmond next weekend. Haven't bowled a national stop for years. And I was joking around with Russ, and I asked Russ if I could drink during the block. And, we all know Russ, General Mills, as we call him here in the East, no way. And he said no to it. So I'm just going to have to get more creative of how I stay loose through a block like that. But I think it'd be pretty fun. But, really looking forward to it. I will tell you, this ball we're talking about is definitely making the trip down there with me. Just, from a useful standpoint where it's going to fit in, and, a little different environment going out there, looking at the newer patterns they release with the, we like to call it the speed bump, 30 mils of oil, and friction feels like it's to your left and not your right out on tour. I mean, it's just completely different way of bowling. But let's see what else we got here. numbers were similar to MX-05. Yeah, there's one of those license plate balls. I don't know how you guys ever kept those straight, Rich, back in the day. It's amazing to me. Like somebody would rattle off one of the number balls. I'm like, I have no idea. I have to look it up. I don't even know what
Yeah.
color it is. It's pretty
It's
crazy.
I mean, that was a Paul Figlamini concept, the 900, 700, 500 series. And it was a great concept. It was unique. It was different at the time.
Mhm.
And it was easy the first few launches, but once you got past like the third launch, nobody could keep track of what was going on. And it's funny stories. I don't know, well, funny, but we were gonna get out of the numbers, and there was a lot of talk back and forth that we should stay with it. So we came up with this LX, MX, HX. Not great idea, but the 400A had just come out, and we sold so many 400As. And
Mhm.
I go to my boss. I'm like, I don't feel good about changing this. I mean, we just sold more balls of any ball we've sold in the last 3 years, and I mean, it equaled 2 or 3 launches. And it's like, are you sure about this? Oh no, we're committed. We're committed. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Thank God that only lasted about a year and a half when we came out with the Paradox.
Yeah. And I think that was more that, I mean, that 400A was special.
Yeah.
Again, one of those colors, I think color
Oh,
had a lot to do with that too. Shelf, it's
yep.
different,
Shelf
right?
appeal.
Like if I'm not going to jump, but I mean, just think if they came out with like went back and they had like the XS bone. I know it's not our, stuff, but if you came out with a white ball, like even when the Quantum re-released the white one, that sold well,
Yeah.
because it was just different. You don't see a lot of that color scheme out there. Other brand. Sometimes you'll get like a hot pink ball on the market, and that sells. Widow. I mean, you were still EBI. Yeah, you
A
lived through that
lot.
when that demand was there. What happened there?
Yeah.
Round the clock production, and the ball was good too. So that plays a big part of it. But
Yeah. I think Widow was phenomenal.
you get one of those kind of those home run motions paired with kind of a nichey color. I think
Mm-hmm.
really stands out there. For me, that niche color is black. So if we just make all bowling balls black moving forward, I would be totally content. Or like a deep purple. They
Yeah.
just seem to roll better. And one of these days, not on the feed now, I'll pick your brain as to why those roll better, because there's some kind of voodoo that's in the black pigment.
A black
That
bowling ball.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
something about it. I don't know. Probably because you don't have the phasing colors in it, so I can't tell when I throw it bad. I just feels like I throw them all good. So I
Yeah.
think that's probably what it comes down to.
Exactly. It's like putting colored grips in the bowling ball. A lot of people get, see that ball roll and it just messes with their eyes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I remember back in the day, there was all single color balls, and it was all 2-color balls, and then it became all 3-color balls, and the 3-color balls are unique, and now the single color balls are the unique ones because they stand out.
Yeah. And it depends aesthetically. I mean, I know, we're talking about bowling. I mean, aesthetically, I have honestly been one that sometimes struggle with some of the, super color blends. Like for instance, like on this side, like the Redemption Solid. I have a
Oh
really
yeah,
hard time reading that ball.
yeah,
Um, but there's other options, in that, with 7 brands, I have another option I can throw on a big piece like that.
hmm
But yet you look at something like recently the the Aerodynamics, which is coming out, which is super pretty bowling ball as well.
yeah,
I have no problem with that ball. Maybe because
yeah,
the white's a little different pigment in there, or the blue in it's pretty light, so it blends a little bit.
sure.
No issue reading that one as well. So it's aesthetics. It comes down to it. But what else do we got here? I don't want to miss any comments here. And, here we are, we talk about loving talking about stuff, and, 40 minutes in, and I always feel like I'm on a feed for like 10 minutes, and I look up and
Yeah,
it's like 35, 40, 50 minutes. Um, Tommy Graham, I don't think you had 8 per game, but I'm willing to try it.
he's
It
up for the
sounds like a
challenge.
competition to me. I think we can make this work. Um, Oh, we got Rick Graham jumped on here. I'm not sure if you know Rick, but he is a new addition for us this year with Brunswick. He has made the jump over to us and made the change. Rick is a very
Nice.
close friend of mine, and got to see him throw the some of the new balls down the lane, the past week here, and it's been pretty awesome. Seeing just how good they roll for him. Could be more pleased to have you on board, Rick, and can't wait to see you, continuing to win all those raisin tours. I mean, you're in the easy region now, Rick. You know that you only got to get through like Parker and Leclerc and Daryl Bauer. I mean, I keep going. The easy the East region. Yeah, it's crazy. everybody talks, growing up like, I can't wait till I get to the senior tour. And I know Pulisic jumped in here and he'll joke about it. I said, all I got to look forward to, I got 8 more years till I hit the senior tour. And all it means is I'm going to start to lose to the guys I watched as a kid. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it quite as much, but I think he says it more because it matches his game a little more. They give him he can play a little further right on the what we refer to as the Raisin Tour.
Yeah.
But trying to think if I had any questions, for you. I know a lot of good ones have came through in here. But obviously, you made mention to just how long it takes to kind of develop bowling balls, and 7 brands going through that, and you can't imagine how tough that is. But maybe touch on, maybe for the consumers out there, just a little more about, how long it really does take for a bowling ball to come to market. Because I think so many times we see, oh, they released another ball. Oh, they released another ball. Obviously we have 7 of them, but there's a lot that goes into when a ball, that happens way before a ball is announced to come out to the public. So what's that kind of like that timeline look? So, from an approach standpoint.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, you can definitely get too far ahead of it because the market constantly changes, and this year's a prime example of that. We have moved balls around so many times with our overall schedule and taken balls out completely. I mean, I know there's a couple balls that we've already developed that we had planned to come out with in March that we have postponed, just
Mm-hmm.
with anticipation of what's going to go on the marketplace. But typically, it's 6 to 12 months. It really depends on what you're trying to create. Is it brand new from scratch? Are we developing a brand new cover stock? Are we developing a brand new core? If you're new core to cover, you're at least 12 months. You any further behind than that, if
Mm-hmm.
anything in the process, any hiccups, you're just not going to make your launch window. Because we got to have balls far enough ahead for marketing purposes, far enough ahead for international, to get them samples and do all those things and demo balls and so forth. I mean, I've been on it. We've developed a ball in 2 months before. It just depends on what you're trying to do. You make adjustments to the market going, okay, well, this ball's not right for this moment. Let's change courses and let's come up with something different. And we've, done that before in past years. We haven't really done it this year because we've been doing nothing but holding things back.
Yeah.
There's probably 6 balls that were planned to come out this last season between the 7 brands. We have about 6 balls per brand for the year or so of performance products, not entry level, not polyester, not so forth. But there's several, and you're like, man, that ball's really good, and we just can't put it out right now because it's just not going to sell. There's just too much going on with the world to launch it. But I say back to that timeline, 12 months for a new core minimum probably. We do test runs of cores because we have to dial in that core and get the right specs and the right performance we want to get. We start with the shape and with this concept in mind, and we mess around with the different densities to get fine tune that motion a little bit and get it. We want it a little bit sooner. Do we lower the RG? Do we want it to get through the front better? Do we raise the RG slightly? And once you get set into a shape, there's only so much you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we start having multi-density pieces like we did with Paradox and other things like that and Game Breakers, the more pieces we have in that core shape, the more tweaks we can make. But if we only have a single shape with an outer, there's only so much we can shift it 2 or 3 points in RG and maybe 10 points in diff. But it's a lot of tweaking going on, and like I say, it's a great fun process, but it's also nerve-wracking at times because expectations like that new Widow.
Sure.
Those expectations were
the only thing I would,
there.
the only thing I would say with that one is that was the expectations. That was a home run. That ball is unbelievable. It just rolls good on everything. I mean, and it's that we had one shot of getting that one right, so I can understand. I mean, the first time you're going to make that Black Widow, or Ken Brunswick per se, people would say, make the first hammer, Widow in the line. You got one shot at it. If you don't make that one good, your confidence
a lot of
level.
consumer confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Consumer confidence, pro shop confidence, staff confidence. But you make it good, everybody's like, well, there's no doubt they're all going to be, But it's just like it's being far enough ahead of it. The day we started, I started January 1 of last year. I can't believe it's already been a year.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, boom, let's get this team going. We got to develop this ball. We got to develop this core, different core process. We didn't use we use pancakes, the density up top to create extra differential and have more mass away from the center of the core in that ball. And that's not a process that was currently being done in Brunswick. So we had to, start from scratch, introduce that step into the process, design that. Once again, getting all the densities right and making sure that the after drilling numbers are the same as what it was when it was a widow before, and then matching up that right cover. Like you said, I think we hit a home run, and that should just give all kinds of consumer confidence and pro shop confidence in what we're doing.
It absolutely does. And I mean, I know because I always get in my, bust on vodka a little bit here. So I'm assuming when you're doing a testing process to make sure a ball can get through the front of the lane, you use Wadka's 12-mile-an-hour ball speed to see how good a shot is going to be. I love you, Dave. He'll watch this at some point.
Yeah.
Yell at me tomorrow.
Dave
But
Dave repeats too much to be a ball tester.
he is. Yeah, he's just going to tear up the lane.
That's why I'm qualified.
He he crushed him this past weekend, so I can't take anything away from him. And that was with what do you use? An Allure Solid, I think. I could be wrong. So. Or an Outlook. No, he used an Outlook. I'm sorry, it was an Outlook Solid.
Yeah.
Another good one that's in there. So Rick, I don't have to move my feet. Rick, let's be honest. You move your feet a little bit, but it's a lot less now. Clay, I will take this sometimes. We shy away from questions, but do you think that you are competitive to Storm, Global, and Roto? And I don't know what aspect you're asking that question in. I mean, as far as performance, even without going and having Rich answer this, what I would say there is absolutely. When you look at overall quality of the product that we're producing, the amount of like we talked about already on the program, the amount of knowledge and technical aspects that go into these bowling balls, and then pair that with the output, which is the performance side of it, absolutely competitive. And I would say, from me personally, having the ability to have 7 brands, which is huge. It's a ton to actually oversee. It gives us so many different ball shapes and motions that I don't, as a player, ever feel like I'm searching for something I didn't have. Okay. I joked around the other day and again, with some players and said, if you ever hear me say that my ball reaction sucks, you need to turn and look me dead in the eyes and say, it's probably you, because you have every option you could ever want. So I turn to myself and say, you know what? If I ain't bowling good, it's not the bowling balls. It's probably me, because I have a shape that I need to make it right. I like to go back and say, take some more credit for how you're executing, how you're seeing the lane, how you're playing the pattern. And, do you personally, your style matchup? I don't think it comes down to the bowling balls. But you can add to that if you want, Rich. But, just from my perspective there, we're making some quality products, and man, this stuff is pretty special.
Yeah, I think perception versus, I know that it's a perception versus reality is a video that Phil and those guys like to use. I think a lot of it's perception. No doubt. I mean, everybody makes great bowling balls. There's always a one or two that other companies don't have. We had it, Purple Hammer. No one can make a Purple Hammer. It'd be crazy if you knew how many balls the competitors bought of that ball trying to make it. Just couldn't make it. And there's balls that they have that we don't make. Do we try to make them? We do at times. My philosophy has always been, let's make the best bowling balls we can make, and let's make things that competitors don't have, so that we're just different companies, different shapes, different motions. But saying, I would say I would put up our breadth of product against anybody. I mean, it's like you said, there's no excuse to not have a reaction on the lanes from the brands. I mean, I think in the track brand alone, I mean, in the brand alone, there's enough coverage for almost anything out there. But say a lot of it's perception. People get a thought in their head that Titleist is the best golf ball, and if you don't hit a Titleist, you're not good. I mean, I know I'm not good. It doesn't matter what ball I hit. It doesn't, I go by the balls that cost the least, so when I lose them, it doesn't cost me a lot of money.
I I go with the golf ball that they do free advertising, put my logo on them because I hit so many of them in the woods.
Find
It's free
them.
advertisement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's this Jeff guy? He's got balls everywhere.
God, I hope it's
Yeah.
good. It says bowling on it, not golf. I'd have no
My
chance of having
my
anybody come.
mom bought me some for Christmas one year. Is uh, Rich? She got the same ones for me and my brother. Rich Hanson, best son ever, and my brother has the same ones. It says his name, and I'm like, I am not hitting these because somebody's gonna go. His mom's full of it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I say there's just ball motions that every company has that's a little bit different and unique. Does it make one ball brand better than the other? Well, no. They just might have one shape that this other brand doesn't have, and we have every bit of that stuff. With Purple Hammers, and trust me, that thing's coming. We have tested the holy living out of it, and I'm not gonna say it's better, but it's damn good.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding was, I mean, obviously when the acquisition happened, they did buy the lines and stuff from Hopkinsville, and that stuff was moved down. With being able to pour some of this stuff in the future. So, everybody keeps asking me about Purple Hammers, and I give them the same answer. I said, look, I don't have any inside scoop. Maybe Rich just gave a little more, but I'm sure at some point you're going to see
Yeah,
him because why would we not make one of the most popular, iconic urethane balls ever made? I
yeah. I
mean,
mean, it's when people that are more brand loyal to one brand, and you see them having a brand ball in their bag that's not their brand they're usually loyal to, tells you that ball's pretty good. And that was a case of a lot of people. They may not have been a staff with a certain brand, but they love
mhm.
that and they've been defending for that brand, but they can't get beat. So they have to have a ball in their bag. And that Purple Hammer was one of them. And it's another one from day one. We sat in a meeting and said, put the team on it. Who's working on it? Who's going to get it done? Test it, get the right formulations. Um, you say, because even though you have that formula, when you run it through different machines in a different place, different environment, even, I mean,
Yeah,
you make balls in different locations. I can make the same bowling ball in Korea, Japan, uh, New York, and the environments are different. So, humidity's atmosphere. There's just it's the ball motion at the end of the day that you're trying to copy, and it's coming.
yeah, and it's good you said that because I mean, and I will say, I'll just say competitor X. I mean, we know from a pro shop guy, I'll tell you that there was a very successful ball from another brand that was poured one place and then they decided to pour it in a different one of their locations and those bowling balls were not the same.
Not the
Okay.
same.
And then they moved it back to the original location and bang, the bowling ball is good again. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to have those tweaks in the formulation. And that's for what all the smart guys like Rich, that's for them to figure out. We're gonna put the holes in here and make it roll nice on the lane for you once I get it. But
Yeah.
it's be patient with it. I kind of chuckle a little bit. It is a great bowling ball, but when I see the Purple Hammers and stuff selling for $450 online,
It's insane.
I'm like, man, you must win a lot of tournaments paid 450. Hey, if it works out for you,
Well, the
fine.
good thing
But
about it is urethane balls don't wear out.
yeah, I mean,
I wish somebody told Jacob that because Jacob had about 20 purple urethanes at least. Um, they just don't wear out. They may not be
no,
as strong, but it's not like a reactive ball where over time the performance is so strong. I mean, it's like if a ball hooks 5 boards and it loses half its performance, you're barely going to really tell it.
hmm,
But if a ball has a 25 board hook potential and it loses half, you're like, that ball's dead. It doesn't hook anymore. It still
yeah,
hooks. It's just not as aggressive as it originally was when it was new. But urethane balls just don't lose that performance at the rate that a high performance reactive ball does.
right. And a difference of saturation. I mean, it's just
They don't
different
absorb oil.
technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just different. I don't care how many times you run it through an oven or a detox or things like that. You're not gonna. It's very hard to get it back to the original. But
But it's never going to be the same. The minute you throw the ball down the lane the first time, it's never the same.
yeah.
The surface is always constantly changing. The oil balls are absorbing oil. You maintain it the best you can.
Hmm.
Uh, Keep the surface prep. That's your biggest factor is your surface prep. Constantly keeping it at that same prep.
Absolutely. Wiping it down between frames, all that
Yeah.
other stuff. I mean, it's crazy, but you got to take care of them. They're your tools. Your tools are important. Rich and his team are designing them to give you the best possible, arsenal out in the lanes, but then it's your turn to take care of them and make sure you're prolonging your purchases that are out there because ball performance, I mean, you're starting to lose hits. If you're not keeping after your equipment, it equates into differences with the way the bowling ball is going through the pins. And when the bowling ball stops going through the pins the same way, you start to suffer in terms of carry percentage and things along those lines. So again, keep after them. But I think I'm pretty caught up on questions here. I think the only one I see on here was Dirk was asking Widow 2.0 Pearl or wait like EBI did with the original. I'm sure Rich can't give all the secrets of what's coming here, but what I would say to that one before he answers is that you do have a different core, different everything, but you definitely have a WebMB that's out there right now that would fit that, super clean, maybe motion you're kind of thinking of. That ball is super clean at box finish and quite responsive down lane, and just depends how you like to look at it. I obviously scratched mine a little bit, and that ball woke up a ton, but definitely a clean piece. But
I will say no close future plans for another Black Widow.
All right, so not in the next release. You head that, gang. It's
that can change.
Not night. Yeah, it can change in a heartbeat.
It'll be months. If I had to say, if it was all my decision, it wouldn't come out until next November.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we were doing at Ebb and I. It was one a year because balls like that have that shelf life. You can sell them. I mean, we were selling 5,000 Widows a month in month 6. Of that pink one. So,
and this last one, I mean, hell, I went through, probably literally 30 of them within the first 2 weeks. I mean, they're special. I mean, they are that good. And, get your hand, if you don't have one, get your hand on one.
Shine a proof hybrid. And I think you would have something that would be a really nice complement, would give you a pearl hybrid shiny version of that Black Widow.
That is an interesting way to look at it, just because of how I see that hybrid out of the box. I mean, it's it's a staged 500 3000, but you can change that in a hurry if you want to change that shape up a little bit.
You just put a smidge of polish in that thing, and I think it'd be a great complement to a Black Widow 2.0.
Yeah, but well, believe it or not, Rich, I think that might have been the last question that came through the feed, and there were a lot of really good ones, and I really appreciate you coming on and explaining a little bit more, not only just the process, kind of a little bit more of the balls, and kind of how we go through the selection process, how it comes to market, and because I think it's important for us all to understand we're not just throwing balls out there to throw balls out there. They all have intentions. There's a lot of work that goes in on the front end to make sure that we're continuing to offer a full arsenal and a full line within every one of those brands. And with as little crossover as you will. I mean, it's challenging, but even within the 7 brands, there might be things that fall in the same realm, but there's still some differences between them just based on the the base covers and the additives that are put into those packages that still make them differently and gives you even more variety. Interesting stuff, and hopefully one day when all this clears, I'll finally get myself up to the muskie up there and hopefully tag around and watch some of it in the background here. I've been wanting to do it, but with COVID, it just hasn't happened.
That'd be awesome.
But, definitely come up and do some live feeds up there, and I think it would be a good time.
I do appreciate the throwback video picture you have of me with my hair.
Ish, I will tell you that Ish goes, man, you need an updated one. I said, look, man, I used the Google, and that's what it gave me.
The one photo on the internet because I like to be behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think that photo's from I don't know, track brand manager announcement. It's like 9 years old. It's awesome.
It's perfect. I like, I'm not real good with, I know there's a lot of people out there good with like the filters and the slimming features and stuff. And I just embrace it. I mean, I take my hat off and I'm almost all gray at this point at 42. Yeah. And, I would love to put a picture of myself up for 15 years ago. It's probably about, 50 pounds ago, but it is what it is. It's what I found. And, people they got the gist of it. So, I wasn't, that is not touched up. That was Rich at one point. Don't be confused. It is the same guy.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm better or worse, but that's what.
I don't know. I think the clean cut you got going on now is, it's making you look a little studio on the studious side. It's a good look.
Yeah. My brother always says the only guy would give people with good heads, go bald. People that don't go bald don't have good shaped heads.
Yeah, we'll have a competition with you and my buddy Brian O'Keefe. He's another one with that wears it with pride and it looks good on him. So
I got that Brian O'Keefe haircut going.
Yeah, you guys go to the same barber, right?
Exactly.
It's awesome. But Rich, again, I always have a closing remark that I put on here, and it's kind of the same message we've been saying as we've been doing these programs for the past better part of 3 months. And we're in a tough time right now. With the pandemic, and hopefully with the vaccinations and stuff that are coming out, we'll start to see a little bit of this stalling a little bit and start to see things opening up. But right now, if you're in an area where bowling centers are open, pro shops, things along those lines, by all means, please go out and support those proprietors, those shop operators. It's a small industry. We're all in this together, and we need everyone now more than ever. And just like I say with everything else, if you have questions about our products, you can find us very easily. You can, reach out and obviously talk to Rich. You could ask myself, or any one of them will step up and answer questions for you. But go to those local places. Pennsylvania here on my end just opened up. If you haven't done so already, go out and throw some extra practice games. Give some of that revenue. We love bowling. We want to see it back as stronger than ever. And let's do our part with it. Is where I'm kind of closing with that. But until then, Rich, again, thank you, for joining us here. Really appreciate it and enjoyed the chat. And we'll definitely have you on in the future. And may not just be the track stuff. We'll have you on there maybe, next week when the Purple Hammer releases. I'm just kidding, folks. It's not next week. But we can all dream on that. But hopefully we'll get you on before that release. But anyway, stay safe up there, and hope you continue to do well. And if you see Dave in the office maybe tomorrow, if he hasn't seen the video already, make sure he watches that little tidbit on the. Yeah, we're going to use him as the guinea pig from balls moving forward. Make sure we can get him through the front.
Absolutely.
All right, Rich. Thanks for your time, everybody out there. Hope you enjoyed it, and tune in Thursday night, and we will do the Throw It Thursday portion, where I will actually be the one throwing this one down the lane for you. So get to see some on-lane presentation with this one. So until then, we'll see everybody. Take care now.
Thanks.